Tendonitis, or tendo, is the most common issue faced in the first month of planting. There are 3 common types of tendo: thumb-sided tendo on the shovel side, back-of-hand tendo on the shovel side, and tree-sided tendonitis. Tendons are like the body's rope. They connect muscle to bone and transfer force to create joint movement.
Tendons like to work in straight lines. At points of friction, tendons are wrapped in a protective sheath that provide lubrication and allow smooth movement. When tendons are loaded in long positions or made to work around a corner, they become irritated, leading to inflammation, swelling of the sheath, and pain. Inflammation causes the creaking sound that planters with tendo may experience with movement.
In the first month of planting, approximately 20% of planters will experience tendonitis on the thumb side of the shovel hand. Bad. When opening holes, especially in rocky ground, planters often deviate the wrist outwards to twist the shovel. This causes the tendons of the thumb to work around a corner in a long position. This elongated tendon position can also be seen with a C-cut action. Good. Maintaining a straight, neutral wrist position keeps the tendons working in a straight line. This thumb-sided tendonitis can also occur on the tree side, associated with the same repetitive movement, seen when tearing flagging tape, grasping trees, or when hand closing. A recent study demonstrated that a planter can reduce their risk of shovel-sided tendonitis by 5 times if they use tape as a preventative measure to unload the tendons by limiting this movement.
We know that tendons don't like corners. If a planter drops their wrist into extension when opening a hole, the tendons on the back of the hand are forced to work around a corner. This causes an irritation of the tendons, leading to tendonitis. Back of the hand tendonitis most commonly involves the ring and little finger. Bad. Overgripping the shovel and allowing the wrist to drop into extension makes the tendons work around this corner. Good. Loosening the grip on the shovel and keeping the wrist in a neutral or straight position reduces the load on the tendons.
Tree-sided tendonitis. Sticking your hand in the ground thousands of times a day. It's just not ideal. There are different varieties of hand closing that can be broken up into 3 main techniques: the twist, the punch, and the scrape and poke. Risk is about exposure. There is no ideal way to hand close. The key is to spread the load by varying your technique and optimizing your wrist, hand, and finger position. Bad. Excessive deviation of the wrist and index finger when using the twist technique. Better. Keep a neutral hand and index finger position and push with a straight wrist. Bad. When punch closing, letting the wrist roll over into an over-flexed position. Better. Keep the wrist straight and avoid over-flexing. Bad. Poking down into the tree hole with straight locked fingers overloads the middle finger. Better. Poke with the fingers bent so that all fingers contact the ground evenly.
The key is to use a variety of techniques to help spread the load. When able, foot closing is a good alternative to supplement hand closing. How tree plugs are loaded into the bags affects hand and wrist position when retrieving trees. Bad. Packing trees in a way that requires a twisted wrist position to retrieve them from the bags increases the risk of tendonitis. Good. Packing trees so that plugs are handled with a more neutral wrist position reduces this risk.
Tendons require lubrication. If a planter becomes dehydrated, they increase their risk of tendonitis. Planters sweat. They sweat a lot. On average, a planter will lose 6 to 8 litres of water through sweat and respiration. In sweat, on average, half a teaspoon of salt is lost per litre, adding up to 4 teaspoons of net salt loss. This is seen as the crusty white buildup on t-shirts and head bandanas. Planters should aim to consume 6 to 8 litres of water per shift on the block. To effectively rehydrate, the salt lost needs to be replaced. This can be achieved through salted water at a ratio of half a teaspoon per litre, or through dietary intake.
Cold and wet conditions increase the risk of tendonitis. Planters need to warm up to get blood flowing to the muscles and tendons at the start of each day. There are a variety of resources available for warm-up and stretching exercises. Weak muscles and tendons that are not conditioned to load are more likely to develop tendonitis. Preparing for the tree planting season by doing strengthening exercises helps to prepare the tendons for the stress of tree planting. Resources like Fit to Plant are great tools. Fit, strong planters plant more trees per day, plant for more days in a season, and make more money. Be ready and be fit to plant.
It's a bit shallow. Don't J-root on that stump. I was a leaner over there.